so damn good, like he really had the game in the bag. He looked better than he perhaps had ever done before because he was getting the best of Maru in a proper macro game, a long run-out game. But in the end, it didn't even matter because of that one nuke. Let's see if this man can somehow, some way, keep it together and bounce back in a strong manner. This is it. He needs to win this best of 3 in the bottom right side. Our Korean Zerg player, Solar.
And spawning over in the top left-hand side, representing his new team, the Shopify Rebels, it is ByuN.
ByuN really likes to make things even more interesting than they already are when it comes to him, right? Like, ByuN is always exciting and we always love to watch ByuN play, absolutely a fan favorite. Then in the open bracket, everyone thinks this is going to be smooth sailing for him and he will cruise through the round of 24. Well, instead he started off in the lower bracket. Round 1 was one map away from being eliminated twice. He was 1-1 against Dongregu and obviously he was 1-1 against Hurricane as well. In the end, he did pull through. Today though, it didn't start off all that well, losing his first 2 best of 3s. He's 0-2. You're like, well, is this the end for ByuN? Not yet, guys. A good win over Showtime and now potentially a win here over Solar would mean he's absolutely back in the mix to still potentially make it into the round of 12. And that would truly give another meaning to the whole never say die Terran kind of thing. He's a survivor, Ben.
He certainly is, and just the names you were mentioning there, like Hurricane, DRG, those are names you expect to see in these group stages, but honestly, this group, like Maru, TY, Clem, ByuN, like it's incredibly hard, and it just shows how hard this particular group is, that it's gone up just another level.
Ben, only you would say that because they were part of Benny and the boys, weren't they?
It was. I'm just spitting facts at how hard the opposition has been so far in this tournament. ByuN, by the way, I did notice he took his gas quite a bit later than normal, and he is going for a 2-1-1. You know, never say die, does ByuN say with this build, because I think it's awful, but he's going for it, and yet again, 5 years later.
I think he brought it out in Game 3 against Dongregu as well, with his tournament life on the line on Death Aura, and actually had a pretty good start. And it wasn't even necessarily the first 60 Marines, it was that third medevac that showed up with those 8 extra Marines. All of a sudden he found 4 Queens, and then it's not just a bit of creep and a couple of Zerglings. No, he was getting 4 Queens, and that obviously opens the door for way more potential down the line. So we'll see if ByuN can find another start like that. I'm honestly just super interested seeing how Solar looks, because I cannot imagine after playing a 40-minute game like that, getting nuked, then obviously getting 2 wrecks in the following game, having like 5 to 10 minutes and getting ready for the next match where you go up against another world-class Terran player. Like, I'd be a quitter, Ben, I'll be honest. I would throw in the towel and be like, I'm done for today. Take it, guys. 3-0 in the best of 3. You guys can have it. I'm done. I forfeit. I really hope that Solar can at least put up a good start and maybe just find some momentum, right? It's really important for Solar, I think, that he gets a clean starter. That's obviously always important against the 2-1-1, but after everything that just happened, I think more important than ever before.
I think you're totally right, and it's the circumstances of it all, right? Because these gamers, us gamers, we're all used to losing. Like, I know that people will be like, Serral's never lost a game in his life kind of thing. He got to where he was by losing and learning a lot. So you've had those games happen to you on ladder, maybe quite a few times, but in a tournament situation like this, in the biggest tournament of the year, for that to happen and for Maru to be so relentless as well with the 2 racks afterwards. By the way, this game is very unusual because Solar, he's been trying to scout to see what's going off. He's seen just a handful of Marines. No Reaper turned up on his side. He does see that like a 3rd depot is going up at the front here. So maybe he's like, okay, that 3rd CC is definitely late, but now he's going to know what's up. Like ByuN, he's one of the only guys still kind of going back to this build very often. I'm looking forward to see how Solar handles it, because if he does it correctly, he'll be very far ahead.
Yep. Actually, ByuN did this against DRG too, where he just walks the Marines to the other side of the map, and then the medevacs will obviously be able to just boost to the other side. But basically, you shave off a couple of seconds like this, right? Instead of waiting for those medevacs, picking up the Marines, and then boosting out, he's already moving those Marines out, which means they show up just a little bit earlier. It does seem like Solar has the right amount of units. Obviously, keep in mind, guys, there's no Roachborn here, there is no Bailing Nest. It's all going to come down to Lings and Queens, but Lings and Queens in heavy numbers can absolutely deal with this amount of Marines, but you gotta get a good engagement. Solar, are you sure you have enough?
He's doing very well so far, picking off a few Marines. I mean, ByuN's also microing incredibly good and takes out one Queen so far. More Lings are joining the fray, though.
That looked a little bit scary. At one point, I was like, it's always, you reach that tipping point, right, where all of a sudden the Marines stimp forward and they dive for those Queens. And if the first Queens start falling, things can get very dire. The Baneling Nest is going down now, +1 Carapace is on the way for Solar. But that's that extra medevac that I mentioned that ByuN also showed us in the series against Dongregu. And that's really where he found all the success against Dongregu. Let's see if ByuN can kind of get... I don't like it if Solar brings his Queens that far forward, but ByuN wasn't really paying attention at first. It's still a dangerous game that Solar is playing here.
Super dangerous. I mean, obviously he wants to spread the creep, right? But, oh no, he shot his own Queen momentarily there with his Queen, so loses 3 Queens before anything really happens. 1 medevac does go down, and as long as he stays under these medevacs, he can't unload, so he gets time to actually spread some creep, which is much, much, much sought after.
Yeah, obviously ByuN is forcing out a ridiculous amount of units. I'm glad you noticed that, Ben. I saw it too, a couple of Queens in the back, all shooting at the Queen in the front. That Queen could have potentially gone down anyway, but Solar also sees these things, and if you're already in a bit of a tricky spot mentally, you hate to see those things happen, where you actually accidentally attack one of your own units, especially in a phase of the game where it feels like every HP matters on your units. So far Solar perhaps looking a little bit shaky, but not taking crucial damage yet.
No, and +1 Carapace is about to finish as well. I know like he hasn't started +1 melee yet, but honestly getting the +1 Carapace up and going it'll definitely shut down a lot of the scariness of this aggression, and 1 medevac being low means that ByuN will have to be way more careful with this double drop.
Solar feels confident enough to send his first few Zerglings to the other side of the map. I do think that ByuN should have a couple of units ready to deal with that. Sending out 2 more medevacs. Oh, is that a little drop alert? It is, so we're gonna get a couple of Zerglings in the main base. Could later on be used for Baneling drops too, something that's becoming a bit more popular in this matchup. But I kind of feel like this is it. This is where the pedal goes to the metal and ByuN is about to hit overdrive. And Solar, does he have enough units in the right place? I have the feeling the top side is a little bit under-defended, because I feel that almost all the units are either here or they are looking for that little drop in the main base.
Oh, nice spore. Definitely buys him a little bit of time and now has alerted him, hopefully, but the Ling drop will be happening very soon as well, I do believe. I mean, ByuN is definitely doing the right stuff with what he has. This Widowmine could be juicy, by the way. What a position on that.
Yep, well, the Marine positioning is good target fire on a couple of these Banelings too, ByuN. Okay, the Widowmine will not get the shot that he was looking for. I don't know what's happening with the Zerglings on the other side of the map, but it feels that everywhere we are watching, ByuN is getting a couple of decent trades. Solar has been a little bit indecisive with his drop alert. He feels that this is the time to send it in. I mean, it's not been a bad game by Solar, but he needs to find some more damage, and 5 of the 8 Zerglings actually fall while the drop alert is just parked above a missile turret.
Most random missile turret of all time, I do believe, but did the job that it was meant to be doing. I wonder if ByuN kind of knew or had a sense of something like that possibly coming to the table. I mean, we don't know how much these guys have played against each other before, but ByuN has done such a good job of just denying creep spread this game thus far.
And not just that, also killing Zerglings. Mapu, could you show us the units lost tab real quick? Because I have the feeling barely any units of ByuN went down so far, while 90 Zerglings have gone down. Obviously only a single drone, that's really good news for Solar, but the fact that he lost 90 Lings also means he has way less drones than he's supposed to have in this phase in the game.
Yeah, ByuN's microing really, really good. This is like the first little drop that actually gets shut down a bit, but Widowmines are kind of doing a little bit of friendly fire as well, but as long as ByuN's dealing damage and just keeping Solar like busy and having to make units as opposed to just droning up like a madman, he's feeling good about this, I think.
Yep, the creep is not getting out of control. It's not going to be easy for Solar to squeeze in an infestation pit and go up to Hive. Never mind, he already has an infestation pit, guys. Ignore everything I just said. But Hive is still going to take a little while, right? And Lurkers are great, but for Lurkers to truly shine, you kind of need all those Hive tech upgrades. As we do a couple of Banelings connecting there with the Marines. It feels that Solar is on the verge of stabilizing, but ByuN is definitely still kind of dictating the pace of this game.
He is, and a big drop in the main, actually, like 3 medevacs worth of units, and spawning pool is exposed. At the back, they've got a nice position here, but Solar is quite quick to make sure that he doesn't lose that much, and that is an annoying spot for those medevacs to stay.
Whoops, my screen just went down. That is obviously a sweet spot. There we go, Ben, I'm back. My computer was like, what if I just shut down? I'm like, no, not right now. ByuN is microing absolutely fantastically so far in this game. He's just getting great trades across the board. The target fire on the Banes has been very sexy. The 2-2 upgrades are about to finish up, and Solar is forced to leave so many units behind to deal with this triple drop, and it seems like he didn't leave enough units at home. It really feels that ByuN is running away with this game, man. Solar is just not really able to keep up with the pace that ByuN is pushing at this point.
He is, but ByuN lost a good portion of this frontal army, right? And Solar behind all this is securing a fifth. Like, even though ByuN's doing a lot right, like you say, it's very, very closely matched on every front.
I think the main reason why that was is that ByuN was floating a little bit too much money for a split second. He was sitting on 12 to 1400 minerals. That's a bit too much. His triple drop is making another appearance in the main base. Obviously getting the Lurker then would be a very juicy target, but that's not going to happen. So Solar is indeed still hanging in there, and if you can just get enough Lurkers out, then maybe it's not all that bad. But it just feels that everywhere I look, ByuN has got a few more forces than Solar does.
Yeah, and does he have tanks now in the mix, which is going to make stuff a lot harder for Solar to deal with? I mean, Solar's actually taking pretty decent fights, but look at these splits, Kevin. He's just going as far back as he needs to. That being said, the supplies, again, they are dead even now, whereas most of the game, ByuN's been ahead, actually.
What's happening with the drop in the main? Did that get shot down too? This is actually a good cleanup here by Solar, as the tanks do get in range. Excuse me, the Hydras do get in range of the tanks, and those tanks get picked off too. Well done by Solar, and Seismic Spines is about to finish up, and that's obviously a very lovely upgrade to have for those Lurkers. You can see in the production tab now that Solar is getting his first Lurkers on the battlefield.
Oh.
Well done, that's a strong minute by Solar, and that's absolutely what he needed, as ByuN is even making the accidental Reaper, man.
The accidental Reaper, at least he's not forgetting his weapons this game. That is something that you can often see ByuN, you know, kind of chaotically forget. But this game, yeah, surviving to Lurkers, like, I hope that ByuN has a next, like, evolution, if you like, because I know he can get stuck in these games, or a Ghost Academy is going down, so it isn't going to be just about the bio tank. He is evolving. I love it. We're going to get another late game TVZ here.
There's not a lot of vision, right, for Solar on the top side of the map. Once again, the target fire is beautiful. Solar is doing, of course, a good job, and it's going to be a bit easier to stabilize to the bottom side or just certain locations on this map if your Lurker count does get up there. Solar getting units in the right position too to deal with this double drop on the top side, and I believe one medevac with a bunch of Marines inside of it went down. Lurkers are now fully upgraded, man. They've got their speed upgrade, they've got their range upgrade. This is kind of where you want to be if you're Solar.
Yeah, and I mean, he is going to be against 3-3 upgrades pretty soon, but he's got the time of the Lurkers to buy him that time, right? Like, and look at his half of the map. He's expanding like wildfire. He's taking his 6th base right now, going up to 3-3 as well.
A little bit risky to be leeching off that spawning pool before Adreno Glance is done. It seems like Adreno will finish up, but the spawning pool is very low on HP, so potentially a single drop later on by ByuN could maybe take down the spawning pool. And we've seen that before being a little bit complicated if all of a sudden you can't remax on Lings and Banes, units that are pretty important still in the late game of this matchup.
Yeah, Solar pushing out now, even though like the 3-3 has done from his opponent, but he is kind of catching ByuN on a time when he wants to be transitioning to Ghosts. But yeah, look at this Widowmine, the Lurkers burrowed together. Not sure they both know about one another. I mean, the Widowmines obviously know about the Lurkers, but oh, there we go, it does get popped open.
Overseer nearby. I actually like this because obviously Solar doesn't have any Corruptors flying around, so dealing with Liberators could be annoying. Lurkers finding themselves a little bit exposed there on the right side, but ByuN perhaps not paying attention, can't really take the fight, can't capitalize on it. And here you can see how annoying those Liberators can be. Good job by ByuN. This is something that he's an absolute master of, right? Always repositioning those Liberators. A single Spore Crawler should not be able to take down these bad boys.
No, certainly. It's just making life hard. And I mean, even though it's only 4 drones, it's something else elsewhere. And like, yeah, this is really, really gnarly. And this is stuff Solar doesn't want to be dealing with right now because he's got an ever-growing ByuN on the other side of the map. And, you know, these Ghosts, these tanks, and he's getting the big tank upgrades as well, the +2. It's going to be very hard to actually break ByuN.
Yeah, I do gotta say, I find it important for ByuN to find maybe some economic damage soon, right? Like, this is a base that's not supposed to be up and running, the one in the center top. It's not supposed to be that easy for Solar to start mining up that base. And at the same time, Solar's trying to take the base at 5 o'clock, and that's one that I feel ByuN could maybe do something about too. So even though we are getting a couple of drones, I do feel that ByuN needs to get on top of these hatcheries because Solar is starting to spiral out of control.
He certainly is, and this is a massive army that he's got outside ByuN's face, actually. And oh my god, ByuN didn't move at all. You see him muttering to himself. He's trying to deal with the lurkers on the other side of the map, which it looks like he's dealt quite a bit of damage to, but the supplies, it's all about Solar right now.
And there are more banelings coming in, finding a couple of decent connections. I like the random parasitic bomb in the middle of these medevacs. Just give your opponent one more issue, one more problem to deal with. And even though ByuN's got money in the bank, he's taking a serious beating from this army. He will be able to clean it up eventually, I guess, with reinforcements. But man, he lost not just a lot of SCVs, but he actually lost a lot of army supply too.
A lot of ghosts as well. You see the tilt of ByuN's head there in the camera. More ghosts dying, and that just hurts, especially if you have the female skin on. They scream real damn badly. And like lots of tanks. Oh, those tanks are lovely position there. The Lurker's taken a lot of fire, but it's getting so scrappy.
Yeah, Solar, you've done a tremendous job with the attack. I'm not sure what the medevacs are doing there, but I think he needs to be a little bit careful. He's just running the Lurkers in range of these tanks, but a lot of the Lurkers are disappearing. This is an absolute bloodbath, but with a couple of links, it seems like Solar will be able to clean up all the tanks. I mean, ByuN's army has just been completely reset. What's left? A couple of medevacs, a few Marauders, and a couple of Marines?
Yeah, not much at all. Like, he's at 100 supply, and the only reason that Solar isn't maxed out right now is because I think he's lacking the lava. Like, he's definitely got the money, and look at his side of the map. He's actually got every base, and I just saw him move about in his chair, but it was the move about of, okay, I'm comfortable in this game right now. 10 Lurkers being morphed. In fact, 9 more on the way as well. How many Lurks is he going to have in a moment here?
A lot, Ben. The count is... It's just very... It's enough. Couple of Zerglings counter-attacking, finding a few more SCVs as a couple of Marines go down to the friendly fire. Solar probably knows that ByuN is trying to take the bottom left. And yep, he's got a Zergling there. This base is completely exposed. Something that Solar can absolutely shut down. Wow. Beautiful game by Solar as he finds a lot of these SCVs too. Banelings connecting, a couple of lurker shots. Well done by Solar.
Super well done. Like, I'm just remembering how tight and dicey it looked at the start of this game. Like, ByuN was putting on so much pressure. You wouldn't have thought so when you look at it right now. Solar is all over ByuN, and that was after like a real shaky start.
Yep, I mean, he was always like kind of okay, but you're always worried about the next Marine attack dealing a lot of damage. But eventually Solar just stabilized, was able to deal with that triple drop, got enough Hydras out, got enough Lurkers out. And when ByuN had almost his entire army kind of in the center bottom, so it was like, all right, cool, let's just attack with all the Hydras, Banelings, and eventually a couple of Lurkers. Let's see what we can get done. And you could see the reaction as well that ByuN had when all those Banelings crashed into the defensive bio units, right? Like he wasn't paying attention, and those units could have done way better than just standing in one big clump and taking all those Banelings to the face.
Yeah, and like, look at the economy of ByuN too. Like, I know that he likes to get to about 50 SCVs. Another Reaper here, like, that's not purposeful. So ByuN definitely making mistakes. Look at his posture as well. He's kind of hunched over a little bit. He's feeling the pressure here. And Solar, what a bounce back from getting nuked and 2 racks against Maru.
Yep, he's showing a lot of mental strength here. Obviously the best of 3 is not over yet, but ByuN definitely looks a little bit irritated. It's obviously a very stressful situation for him to just join the new team. The Shopify Rebellion wants to make them proud. And he knows that this best of 3 is a must-win series. As these Lurkers get in range of the planetary, I gotta say, Solar should have targeted the SCVs, right? He could have easily killed all those SCVs. Instead, he's gonna try to surround all the ghosts, and that is a ridiculous amount of Zerglings. The majority of the ghosts seem to fall, and I think in the end, this planetary will fall too. And with that, the dreams of ByuN in Game 1. Solar takes the 1-0 lead after a pretty spectacular game here on Lightshade. What a match, Ben.
What a match, and the Solar that I'm seeing on the camera right there, that does not look like the Solar that we were looking at
pre-game.
40 minutes ago, pre-game. He was looking down and out almost, but that just shows you, like, the mental fortitude, as you put it, of these players, their ability to just bounce back into a series, just to shake it all off. Like, it is uncanny. We often don't talk about that in StarCraft 2, about players' mental focus and just ability to just sweep everything that was bad aside and just put lay it out on the table, because, yeah, this game did not start off well for him either at all.
No, it looked like obviously he did a good job in protecting his economy, right? Like against the 2-on-1, the one thing you really don't want to lose is drones, because often you don't have too many if you make all the circlings. So he did a good job with that, but at one point you start losing 2-3 queens, you lost 90 circlings, the couple of defensive banelings he made, they never connected because ByuN's micro was good as always. Target fire was beautiful, but in the end Solar stabilized, got the lurker then up and running, got some lurkers out, and eventually just hit ByuN with a devastating counterattack. I do believe it's time to go to a quick break, and after that we'll be back with Solar ByuN Game 2.
Hello guys and welcome back. We are currently in the series of Solar versus ByuN, where it's looking a bit rocky for both of them. If you didn't watch the Solar versus Maru series, well, I recommend you tune into the end of game one because that was quite a banger. But here we have Solar being 1-0 up against ByuN, and honestly, I'm so impressed by the fact that he's managed to kind of like sweep everything that happened in the previous series aside.
Yeah, it is really, really hard to keep it together in tournaments. I mean, we saw him before the series. He obviously looked a little bit defeated. Looked like he almost mentally tapped out, but he's completely back in it. 1-0, very strong game on Lightshade, because ByuN didn't make it easy. Today has been wild, Ben. Like, I didn't even have that much time to talk about it, but Clem versus TY, game one on Oxide. Oh my goodness, like I was really on the edge of my seat and I was kind of screaming, and the guys are like, what are you watching? I was like, it's so sick, because they were just throwing everything they had at each other. Fantastic game. You guys can watch that back on twitch.tv/Harstem. And then obviously game two, where it felt that Clem was losing, but then TY only lifting the orbital, not actually sending it back into his main. Cyclone pushing the orbital to the wrong direction. It's like, today has been nuts, mate. I've seen so many crazy things already.
It certainly has been. It certainly has been. Anyhow, we're getting into the second game of this series between Solar and ByuN, and spawning over in the top right-hand side of Pillars and Gold as our blue Zerg. It is Solar.
And in the bottom left side of Pillars of Gold, we're going to take a look at the main base of the man who recently joined the Shopify Rebellion. He's down 0-1, needs to turn things around. It's ByuN.
So would we call those fellas the Shopify Rebels?
Yes, that is.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
They call them the Shopify Rebels, but the official team name is Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, I like it. I like it, honestly. So it's ByuN, Lambo, Scarlet. That is the second or third time that Scarlet and ByuN have been on a team together. I remember their previous one being Expert from ages ago.
And Acer, no?
So Acer was with Innovation.
Ah.
Innovation MMA. Not quite. Yeah, okay, so two teams together. Still, though, Scarlet manages to get on with all those Korean Terrans, you know?
Now, if you guys just joined us later and you're wondering, like, how are things going today? Well, Clem is on top of this group and he's looked mighty fine up to this point. He's 3-0, 6-0. Other than that, everything is kind of still in the open. In previous years, in the Intox 3 Masters, we have seen crazy scenarios where a player could have 3 wins and 2 losses and actually be eliminated, not make it into the top 3. But I think that's only possible if there is like one guy that goes 5-0 and then everybody else kind of beats each other. That is still maybe possible here, but it seems a bit unlikely. So it really does feel that if you want to make top 3 in this group, you're gonna need 3 best of 3 wins most likely. And that obviously means that this is a must-win series for Solar and ByuN.
Absolutely, absolutely. Both sitting at like 4th and 5th place. And I mean, with how well Clem's doing, I mean, I know that a lot of us in the European scene would be like, yeah, Clem's really damn good. But when you put him in a group like this, I mean, just to mention a few names, TY, ByuN, Maru, and he's actually sitting 6-0 in maps right now. He's the only player without a map loss. It's freaking amazing. Yeah. Because I also think of last Katowice, that was when we first started thinking, oh my God, Clem's so damn good right now. Yep. And I think he went out in the bracket stage, right?
Yep, very early in the bracket stage even. He lost to Nice back then. Now, I do think Nice is a pretty good player, but yeah, I mentioned this before, but that's not something I think a lot of people know. But Clem actually performed better in 2019 Katowice than he did in 2020. And that was his first tournament back then, representing Team Liquid. But he's doing fantastic so far this year. Let's see if he can keep it up. I gotta say, man, I hate to see either of these two guys go out there. Like, the loser of this series is 99% sure eliminated, arguably 100%, depends on what's happening in the other games right now. And Solar, we know what he's capable of. It'd be so damn cool to see him make it out of this group with all these Terrans. And obviously ByuN is a fan favorite too. You love to see it, Ben, but you hate to see it at the same time. We love the competition, as that's a really good snipe on the creep tumor, of course. But it sucks to say goodbye to these guys so early on.
It certainly does, and yeah, that creep tuber snipe. When I saw the Reaper running it, I was like, oh, is he going to be able to do that? And that was sick calculation by ByuN. But yeah, you're right. Like, Solar, he's the guy that we've seen absolutely dominate the early stages of the tournament. It's been a while since he had a true big tournament win. But man, like, and he was really dealing with Maru in that first game as well. But yeah, he's looking pretty sharp, pretty calculated in this series, and I think he still has Clem to go within regards to his matches. And Clem so far, I mean, he's been looking the hottest of the hot.
Absolutely, but hey, maybe if Clem is 4-0, he might take it a little bit easier, you know, then it doesn't change that much. Anyway, Ben, talk to me about the strategy here, because if there's one thing I absolutely love about watching ByuN is that he seems so comfortable with so many different openings, right? Reaper, no Reaper, 2-1-1, CC first, triple CC, Hellions, Cloak Banshees, Hellbats. This man can do it all, so talk to me about this one.
Right, so this is a good old-fashioned, like, he's bringing it back to when he won BlizzCon, basically. Like, this is a 2-base Banshee Hellbat attack. Oh my god.
Whoa.
Hold the phone. Wait, what's he doing? He's going out of there. I mean, that was pretty free, honestly. That was pretty free. I think he was respecting him too much.
Well, there were a lot of links there, though. And obviously, if you want to make a wombo combo happen with Hellions and Cloak Banshees, you can't afford to lose those Hellions. But I'm with you. I think if this is a situation where ByuN is 3-0, 6-0 in this tournament, I think he go for it there. Then it's like, all right, we're just going to send it, and we'll see how many links and drones we kill. But with your tournament live on the line, that's a very risky call to make. The Hellions morphing into Hellbats as we speak. But Solar seems pretty prepared, man. He's got that safety Spore Crawler. Queen's in a decent position. I like what I see out of Solar so far.
He's playing really good. Like, the Hellbat Banshee builds, they're scary, but his first Banshee got absolutely thwarted by the Spore Crawler. Like, I think it dealt all that damage alone. And the Hellions they ran in, they didn't get any poke damage whatsoever. Like, I feel that ByuN's builds, and this is often a weakness that I feel of his, even though I know he can mix it up, and you're totally right, he can do a lot of the really cool builds too, because he's so good micro-wise. But here, he just took some builds from 5 years ago and tried to make them work, which they're not so far.
No, they're not. It often comes down to execution, right? And ByuN, with his fantastic micro and his speed, can obviously force out some errors, where even if Zerg players know what they're supposed to do, that doesn't mean it's easy. And we can maybe see these Cloak Banshees finding a little bit of success in the main. I'm obviously with you. ByuN is hoping for more. This is definitely not the damage that he was counting for at this point.
Yeah, I mean, those Banshees, that was the start of something, but one of them is so low. Like, they're... Even though one of them being placed in a good spot is, you know, it's going to get damage done, the real damage comes from the 2 combo, because then you can really scoot around the mineral lines, and hopefully he brings those back, gets them repaired, and just keeps on going with them. Like, keeping those Banshees alive is pretty key for ByuN. Get him back into this game.
And look at the drone count of Solar. Even though he is respecting the Hellions and the Banshees, I think he's absolutely been making the correct calls. He's just been going ham on it. And he's like, I have the feeling that you don't fully want to commit. I don't think you really want to throw everything you have at me. So I think I've got the freedom to go up to 68 drones as quickly as he did. It is important that these Queens stick around to protect this base. Banshees are going to look for a cancel on this hatchery. It's going to be a close call, Ben. Can they get it?
It's going to be very close. One Banshee does go down. That's actually big. Like, it's actually very, very large. The double drop that might follow up here, it could potentially cancel that hatch. Maybe he's going to go for the main and stuff, but you're totally right. Like, the worker count, even though it doesn't seem that big, because you always think that Zerg should be 10 ahead, this is a 4th base that's getting secured for Solar when ByuN's 3rd only just went up, really.
Yep, and don't forget that Solar has double Evo up and running too. We do have a little double drop in the main base, but Solar has more than enough Zerglings to deal with this. So ByuN is forced to evacuate, almost flying into the Queen's there. That would have been absolutely devastating. It really feels that time is ticking for ByuN, right? Like, it's okay to be a little bit behind economically, but eventually you need to find damage, and he's not finding it yet. Solar is looking bulletproof. I gotta say, I am super impressed with Solar's performance in this best of 3 so far, considering the fact that he just got nuke ban in a game that he was absolutely going to win.
He lost 100 supply in a nuke. Like, that might be the biggest nuke that we've ever seen in a professional game. Like, honestly, besides the one where Maru maybe nuked himself. But, hey, it all belongs to Maru. This is a very scary squad, by the way. I know 1-1 just finished for Solar, but he needs more than just a few Banes to deal with this.
Well, he's actually counter-attacking. Just look at the minimap. There's a lot of blue running to the other side of the map, and it seems like he feels confident enough he can deal with this. The Widowmine connection was good, but look at the economic damage that Solar is dealing here. ByuN in more trouble than he was already in. He is now down 30 workers, and Ben, he's not close enough here to really deal the same amount of damage to Solar.
No, Solar's actually holding this. Look at the worker count, Kev. 72 to 44. Like, this is so terrible for ByuN. Even though the supplies are so close, he has to get some comparable damage done, which I don't think he's going to be able to. Solar is just crunching this army.
Yeah, with more than enough Lings and Banes here, and the Queen's obviously helping out, Solar is going to be fine. ByuN knows that he needs to do more. I mean, the floodgates are wide open at home. If Solar can find the APM to find 20 more Zerglings to send to the other side of the map, he is going to deal even more economic damage. And at that point, Ben, it feels that ByuN is almost all in, even though that wouldn't make any sense. You don't want to be all in here, but he pretty much has to. ByuN picks up everything. He's going to go for the main. Couple of Spore Crawlers are waiting for these medevacs. I want to say it's now or never for ByuN.
It certainly is. This is nice defense back at home, though. The Marines, the Widowmine dealing some damage, but yeah, he's not mining from the third anymore. The Spores are taken out by this big drop in the main base, but I feel it's just a matter of time before those Banelings come in. Yeah, they're marching their way over. Nice time buying by that Hellbat.
Yeah, the Hellbat in the choke point was nice. I think the Widowmine bought a little bit of time too. The defense at home was excellent this time. Only 6 SCVs went down, while a lot of Zerglings and Banelings did fall. So maybe ByuN with his 2-2 upgrades very close to finishing up, but then again, Solar's not trailing too far behind on those upgrades. ByuN is doing whatever he can. Widowmine's getting some decent shots off. I mean, it's not bad by ByuN, but the worker counts doesn't lie, guys. It's 47 against 74. ByuN needs more, and he needs it now.
He certainly does, and I mean, his army value or army supply is bigger for that moment in time, but 2-2, he's probably thinking, yeah, I'm about to finish it, but Solar's finishes at exactly the same time, so he's going to be able to actually take very decent trades. He's also got Hydras in the mix too, which help so much for dealing with these Widowmine compositions. ByuN is microing his ass off with this bio, though, just hopping between the bases, but Solar's not skipping a beat either. He's got an army everywhere with spores continuously being made. I think he's handling this beautifully.
Yep, and he's able to match ByuN in upgrades, right? That's massive. ByuN is not starting 3-3 yet, maybe because he's just been a bit broke. Took a lot of economic damage. Has a lot of gas, but not that many minerals. He's gonna try to make some ByuN magic happen here. Widowmine's getting good connections. That's a lot of Banelings going down. Maybe that's the opening that ByuN was looking for, as he's also moving some forces towards the top side on the left side.
Solar was a supply block for a bit there. I saw like 7-ish overlords being made, but oh, he's forgot about the right army while dealing with the left army. And I mean, rightly so. This was a huge, huge, huge squad of Marines and such, but Solar just took a nice little victory on both sides, seemingly. And ByuN, like, again, we're looking at that working out. He's been at 50 for quite some time, and economically, he's just been so far behind. And I'm looking at that production tab, Kevin. I see them, you see them. Lurkers are on the way.
It feels that if this was a boxing match, man, it feels that every single time ByuN is able to land a jab, it just seems that Solar strikes right back with an uppercut. Like, it's just a devastating uppercut that gets more damage done than ByuN was able to get done with all of his jabs. Solar feeling confident enough to counterattack again, but that hive is done, like you said. The lurkers are on the way. I know you're shivering in your boots right now, Ben. I watched that stream a lot. You're still a little traumatized from those spiky boys. Things look bad for ByuN.
Yeah, and that won't change, Kevin. That won't change. I'm always traumatized. And I see like the patented plus armor before the plus weapons as well for ByuN, so that's a bit of a misplay by him, but he is getting another drop into the main. Adrenal did just finish on these Lings though, and +3/+3 hasn't started quite yet for Solar.
I mean, ByuN does have a little bit of that never give up spirit, the way that Maru has it too. Parasitic Bomb dealing some good damage. The Widowmine shots, the first one dealt a lot of friendly fire. The second one was actually quite juicy. ByuN looking for an opening on the left side. He's trying to get on top of lurkers, picks off one, the second one gets all three, but then he is forced to get out of there. But not bad what ByuN is doing here in the last minute.
No, certainly not. Like, the supplies, he's making them very close, and these medevacs, they're still alive here.
He's finding more lurkers on the left. He even split off 1 or 2 Marines to soak up the lurker shots, or kind of distract those lurkers almost. So all the Marines on the left side could just go to town on those lurkers. Really good stuff by ByuN, who's really fighting for everything that he's worth, and he's hanging in there.
He certainly is, he certainly is. But now it feels like Solar is ready to launch the counterattacks. And even though he's lost quite a bit more on the resources lost time, but that's how the game feels, right? Like, Solar's been able to mine a lot more. And, seeing that medevac, it's actually going to die above those...
No, it's still alive, still alive.
Okay, but those lurks on top of the ramp, that third base, it's left to Solar here to play around with, to have fun. Does retreat to that Widowmine, which... Oh my god, it got all those Lings.
Yeah, it's a couple of Lings. Let's see if these Widowmines find a little bit of economic damage. And these mines don't have drilling claws. They are so much less intimidating if they don't have drilling claws. Really good split there by Solar, right? Barely loses anything. Oh, just when it felt that ByuN was finding a little bit of damage here and there with his multitasking and the great micro that he was displaying, it really does seem that Solar is taking control again of this game. Solar should probably add a few more drones though, right, Ben? It's always scary to see a Zerg at 67 drones.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does add them in eventually. Oh, that Lurker does find those SCVs finally. And what's going on here? Those SCVs, no, run away. But no, I'm with you, Kev. 62 drones, but maybe he's thinking, okay, I've dealt so much economic damage as long as I just don't die to something silly, you know, like a big counter drop or a doom drop, which has been happening in this game. But I'm with you. 70, 80, 90 workers in some cases. I know we're all very used to watching Raynor, but yeah, that would definitely add a safety net to everything.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on the style, and this is obviously an army where it's okay to have slightly more army supply and a few less workers, but it's not like Solar's got a massive bank. But then again, who cares about a bank if you're getting lurkers right on top of the most important mineral line of ByuN? ByuN is going to try to hold one more time here with all his bio units, but there is no, he's not lifting the orbital. The orbital just died to lurkers, and that could very well be the beginning of the end. And Ben, this could very well be it for ByuN in the Intel Extreme Masters 2021.
It certainly could. That army is very red. The Lurkers pouncing, the Lings chasing, and Solar. Wow. Takes it 2-0.